your thrifty apprentice. Happy Tuesday, everyone. Happy Halloween to everyone out there. I hope you are having a beautiful day. This is a special release video. We are about to have ourselves a good old-fashioned flip through and take a look at all 31 prompts of Inktober. I am so happy to have gotten through this challenge. This is the first time I've completed all 31 prompts to some shape, form, or fashion. Now, I will admit everything inside this is not going to be glorious, hang on the wall art, but I definitely got through all 31 days. And I want to share that with you guys. And we're also going to be doing a really quick review of Creative Mark Artist Products Universal Mixed Media Pad Paper. It's 90 pounds. This is an 11 by 14 pad. Now, of course, this is the size paper I typically buy in order to cut down in order to make the signatures for the journals that I make. And this was made in a video. I'll be sure to link it in case you guys want to go back and actually take a look at the construction of this particular journal. But for right now, we are just going to dive right into the flip through, and hopefully you guys will see something that you like, that you may want to go and try painting for yourselves. And I will be sure to tell you what I used in each of the drawings. So let's just jump right in. The very first prompt was dream, and I thought about a dream catcher. And this was a video release. All of the video releases that do come up will be linked in the video description in case you guys want to check them out. And in this particular one, I used, what did I use? Super Black Fine Liners by Creative Mark, which happens to be the same company that makes the paper that I bound the journal with. And I used Lucas Aquarelle 1862 watercolors. I've been testing those out. There will be a review coming for those in the next upcoming week or two, maybe 3. I don't know. I've got to work it in. This was a lot of fun. I really enjoy kind of whimsical type paintings, and I just like the idea of a dream catcher, what it's supposed to do. So I really enjoyed that one. So day 2's prompt was spider, if I'm not mistaken, or spiders. And so I created this Black Widow spider. Now this I used the Elegant Writer with, which is a really, really cool, like water-based pen that you use, and it puts down like a black ink almost, but it's made up of more of a turquoise and pinkish color. Once water hits it and it diffuses, it's really, really pretty. But in this case, a lot of other products are used to make the Black Widow black. But I did sketch it in with the Elegant Writer. I used a black ink tint pencil. I do believe I used a black Durant Color Soft pencil. And I also used a Prismacolor pencil, the white one. And a gray. But this, in all honesty, is what you got. There was ink tints used to make the red spot on the Black Widow. And this one was really cool. It was really quick and straightforward. Most of these are going to have traceables that are going to be available on Patreon to all Patreon users. So you will have the outlines, so you can go and, if you don't want to draw them, you can just print out the outline and trace it, or print it on your workable paper and then color it however you see fit with whichever medium you see fit. That way, you know, you can get in some practice if you want to. I like sharing those type of things with you, and they are available going to be available on Patreon. Day 3 was Path. Now this one I wasn't really crazy about. I used the Elegant Writer pen, I used Super Black Fine Liners, and I also used the Lucas 1862 in this one as well. But I never really got it to the level that I wanted. I do believe I'm going to go back and do some more work to this one just to, you know, spruce it up a little bit. But that is what I came up with for Path. Just sort of walking on the countryside, I guess. Day's 4 prompt was, what was Day's 4? Dodge. And when I thought about Dodge, I thought a perfect example of Dodge or dodgy would be like a betta fish. because they're just so quick and acrobatic and precise with their movements. Also turns out that I was invited to participate in a sort of video challenge, which was on a favorite fish. So I did submit this into that, and this is one of the videos that went up, so you guys will have a chance to check that out if you want to. And you can follow the hashtag over to the favorite fish challenge, where you can see other artists who participated in what they had a chance to submit. So I think it's really cool. It was some really cool artwork in that whole challenge, and I really enjoyed participating in it. For the beta fish, I used the Elegant Writer once again, and I used Inktense pencils. That Elegant Writer is a really cool pen. It's really affordable. It was under $4. And it calls for some really cool effects. You guys go check that out. Day 5 was map, and for map I drew a compass. Now this was the Darnassus art markers, alcohol markers, and super black fine liners. The thing about it is that marker set actually isn't bad, and you can go check out the review. It's on the channel. I'm gonna link all of this stuff. Those Darnassus markers aren't bad. The issue I had with them was that I had what seemed to be so many damaged markers when I got that set. So that was my main issue with those. But as far as the inking and the nibs, I feel like they stood up for a $20 set. I enjoyed this one. I had some issues with getting the background kind of solid. It just wanted to be patchy, but in the end, I felt like it just kind of worked with the overall composition. And that's going to be the thing. As we're flipping through these in a few seconds, I'm going to actually start talking about the actual paper, because it is a mixed media paper. So it really handles pencil, pen, color pencils really, really well. I haven't tried any pastels on it at all. As far as water soluble products go, it handles watercolor pencils well, because you're not using a lot of water. It handles gouache pretty well. It will give you moderate performance with watercolors, because the paper will have the tendency to buckle the more water you add to it. But as far as an overall all media paper, I feel like it works really well, and it's pretty affordable at Jerry's Autorama, which is the store that carries Creative Mark products. So next up we had day 6, which was golden. And since I did the beta fish earlier, I was kind of in a fish move, and this is not going to be the only other one, in all honesty. So with golden, I went with doing a goldfish. It was Inktense pencils, Jane Davenport mermaid markers, which are a water-soluble ink dye based product, and then Prismacolor pencils. So, you know, it turned out pretty well. This one is also going to be up as a video. Let's move on, because I want to get through these pretty quickly. Next up, we had day 7, which was drip, and for that, I did like a vampire's lip dripping blood. This was the Darnassus alcohol markers and the super black fine liners by Creative Mark. And I believe I used a little Prismacolor pencil in this as well. It wasn't the best in my opinion. It really didn't turn out the way that I envisioned it in my head when I initially started it. But the products worked well on the paper, and I got a decent outcome, although it wasn't the overall outcome that I wanted. Next up, we had day 8, which was Toad, and I actually didn't even use the prompt. I just did some sort of what I wanted to do, and then it turns out that what I wanted to do didn't turn out how I wanted it to turn out. But you get the overall general idea. I was trying to do these spooky jack-o'-lantern looking pumpkins, and I kind of wanted to use the super black fine liners to give it some striations and some depth as far as the darkness was concerned. But I think I went a little overboard, and it just didn't give me the effect that I wanted. I liked the way the wood turned out. I was satisfied with the background and the tree, the bats, all of that. I feel, even the little bat in the tree, I think that was so cute. I feel like that all worked. I just didn't get the overall effect with the pumpkins that I wanted. And in retrospect, I thought to myself, I could have just drew toads down here around the pumpkins, and that would have covered the prompt, but that's what I drew. It turned out okay. I kind of want to redo this, maybe without the jack-o'-lantern and turn it into just pumpkins, give it more of a fall theme feel. Since it may come out in November or December, so we'll see. Next up, we had day 9, which was bounce. And for bounce, I did a motorcycle suspension system. I was watching a video, okay? And I just saw the motorcycle bouncing, and it just gave me the idea. So I looked up a drawing, or should I say, what a suspension system or how to attach one. It was a how-to video or how-to instructions. And drew what was there in the book and just used the Darnassus art markers to color it in and to give me a motorcycle suspension. So this is what I came up with for that. I don't know, it's a little weird, but I liked it. I like the way this one turned out. Day 10's prompt was fortune, and for fortune, I did a fortune cookie and wrote my own little fortune. You will be thrifty all your days, or so I hope. I do try to bring you guys some pretty decent quality products that are not going to be too expensive. Now, even in the professional range, when I'm introducing those products, I always try to make sure that you know you're getting the bang for your buck, especially if you're going to be purchasing or paying a lot of money for it. So with the fortune cookies, I use pretty excellent watercolors by A. Owens Arts, which also produces Paul Rubens and the Owens Art watercolor set. So they're pretty reputable for making some really, really, really good quality watercolor palettes. And I also use super black fine liners. Pretty straightforward fortune cookie. Wasn't too much to it. I didn't have much time today, so I want to get something done real quick. Next up, we had wander, which basically means to kind of aimlessly wander around or to do something without any true purpose or point to it. And I tend to do that when I go to the pond, to the lake. I just kind of walk around and think and try to ponder over life and the things and the directions that I want to go in, even as far as art is concerned. This was done with super black fine liners in the Color watercolor pencils, which I already have a review up on the channel as well. It was pretty cool. It was pretty straightforward. Those pencils work pretty well on this paper. And as you can see, it's taken a pretty decent variety of products. We've used watercolors and alcohol-based markers, fine liners, and pencils. So an overall decent, robust type paper. Next up, we have day 12, which was spicy. I designed my own hot sauce. Here I use the Darnassus alcohol markers again with the super black fine liner. And you guys are going to hear me say that a lot. I use the Darnassus alcohol markers a lot for Inktober, since they, are alcohol ink-based product. Pretty fun, straightforward. Found a hot sauce image, or actually an outline image, and drew from that, and then transferred it into here, and then just changed the names and the imagery just to match. It was something really quick and easy to do. Next up, we had Rise for day 13. So I did a candle with a flame and smoke kind of rising from the candle. The idea came from me lighting a candle in my living room, and the smoke just kind of came up from it initially when I lit it. And I was like, oh, that's Rise. I don't know, kind of corny maybe, but I had fun. This was the Darnassus alcohol markers and super black fine liners. So I like this one. You guys can see initially I had started doing a different hot sauce bottle for spicy, and I didn't really care for the way it came out. So I actually covered it and then started again. So you can see that because it's art markers, and they will bleed through to the back of the paper. That's the one thing I will say. If you're going to use alcohol-based markers on this paper, you are going to want to put something behind the sheet that you're working on so that those alcohol markers don't bleed on to the next page. Next up, we had 14 Castle. And this one is just straightforward super black fine liners. I just drew. I just used ink. I used my pencil and I drew out this little castle design I had in my head, and then I went back in with the super black fine liner and just inked. It was that straightforward. That one was a day of drawing, and I needed to do something quick, but I did not want to miss doing that day's prompt. Next up, for day 15, we had dagger, and so I designed a tattoo that I thought I might want for myself. Here I use watercolors. These are the Artwell watercolors and super black fine liners. And those Artwell watercolors are actually in my top 5 recommended budget sets after using them and investigating them, along with the tubes. I think this is a pretty decent. You get a lot of quality out of those paints for it to be a budget set. They really, really kind of run neck and neck with the pretty pretty excellence, in my opinion. So yeah, there's that tattoo. Next up, we had day 16, angel. And for that, I did an angel food cake surrounded by a little fruit. And here I actually used my oldest set of art markers. I used the Touch New alcohol markers, super black fine liners, and a little Prismacolor pencils. And I had fun with this one because I thought it was so different. I just figured to myself, everybody else would be drawing an angel, and there'd be these beautiful species of winged angels, and so I just kind of wanted to take it in a really different direction, and I love food. So this was perfect. Next up, we had day 17, demon. And again, I drew food. I drew a demon hand holding a evil cupcake, so to speak. Maybe they're at like a monster mash. You know, it is October, so I was really thinking Halloweenish. Here I used the Darnassus alcohol markers and super black fine liners. Yep. So I will switch back over to the Darnassus for those. Next up, we had day 18, saddle. And once again, I used the Darnassus alcohol markers and super black fine liners. Pretty straightforward. I just drew a saddle on a fence and put a bit of a little background in there to kind of make it look like it was in a landscape. I'm really trying to work on getting better at doing landscapes with alcohol markers, the way I would be able to pull it off with like watercolor paints or gouache. So I'm really working on that. And I'm gonna keep working on it, trying to get a little better, improve a little bit more and more. It's all about growth. That's what this entire challenge was about. I don't really think it's about hitting the prompts. It's really about painting so that you can get into practice in whichever medium you were trying to grow in, that was ink based. And for me, it was alcohol markers. So let's move on. Day 19, plump. And this one is gonna come out on the channel soon in November, if I'm not mistaken. So I was testing, what was I testing? I was testing the super black fine liners mixed with those Faber-Castell Black Edition color pencils, which actually for a budget pencil is it's pretty good set. I mean, in all honesty, I like those pencils, truth be told. So that's what I used here. And like I said, this will be coming out. Let's move on so we can get on through these. Another one that's going to be coming out, and this one actually already premiered. Anything that was done for, that one was shot for November, although it was an Inktober drawing. So let me say it like that. This was Frost, if I'm not mistaken, day 20. And here I did a frosted window using the super black fine liners, a little Inktense pencil, and the Artwell watercolor paints, in order to kind of pull off the frost effect on the window. So it was pretty straightforward and easy, just to make sure I got the prompt in for that day. Day 21 would have been chains, and I did a stopwatch. This is going to eventually be a demo that comes out on the channel as well. I have not figured out exactly where I'm going to fit it in. It's not going to be in October. And this was done with Van Gogh granulating watercolors, Lucas 1862 watercolors, and super black fine liners. So this is going to come out as a watercolor demo on the channel at some point. So you guys can look forward to that. I did make sure to record doing this one. Next up, we had day 22, scratchy. I went with texture, or, you know, objects you would look at and think about scratchy texture. So I chose wood and rocks, and maybe to some effect, even bird feathers. So this was a porthole, or looking out of a porthole from a ship. It was done with super black fine liners, Van Gogh granulating watercolors, and Artwell watercolors. So as you can see, I actually did use watercolors in the for Inktober quite a bit, just being sure to mix in those super black fine liners so I could be sure that I was adhering to the challenge. And it also gave me really general ideas of how this paper would handle using watercolor, which I feel like it handled really well. Like I said, I like the paper, I do. I'm currently testing Canson Graduate mixed media paper in order to compare it against this one. So next up, let's go ahead and move on. We had day 23, which was Celestial, and I just played around. I wasn't being serious with this at all. I really wasn't. I did a silhouette. I used bleed proof to do the starry sky and the big moon. Of course, I used super black fine liners in it. What else? And ink tints, if I'm not mistaken. The blues and, yeah, ink tints pencils. So that's what that one was. Next up, we had day 24, which was Shallow. And for that, I did a donut. Yes, I went back to food. And here I used super black fine liners and the Faber-Castell Black Edition color pencils. So and you'll see these in that color pencil review, which is due to come out soon with the fish. Next up, we had day 25, which was Dangerous. And for that one, I drew a Chinese lantern plant. Here I used super black fine liners, Artwell watercolors, and Artwell glitter watercolors. So those are the products that was used to pull that off. I enjoy doing that one. I like painting plants. So next up was day 26. Day 26 was Remove. And I thought about unwrapping a chocolate bar. Once again, right on back over the food. Hey, sue me, say what you will. But there you have it. And there I used the Darnassus art markers and super black fine liners. Yep. Next up, we moved on to day 27, which was Beast. For that, I did a blue jay using the Darnassus art markers as super black fine liners. This is going to be a tutorial out on the channel. So we had day 28, which was Sparkle. This one I took it in a little bit different direction. I used the 2-seed art markers, which are a water-based or a watercolor marker, if for better terms. It has a chisel and a brush tip on it, if I'm not mistaken. And we're going to get to you're going to get to see this in the review for those markers, which will be coming out in November. So this will eventually be a demo. I really enjoyed this. I really love the way the shadow came out. Next up, we had day 29. This was another one that I wasn't just really crazy about. This was Massive, which actually is the prompt for today, the day that I'm shooting this video. So this is Massive. It's okay. It's a crystal. It's okay. It was my first stab at trying to paint a crystal, and I used Lucas 1862 watercolors, the 2-seed watercolor markers, and Artist Loft fine liners because they came in different colors. So ink and watercolor, and then dye-based ink, which is water soluble from the markers. So that's I definitely want to give that one another shot, this particular painting. Next up, we have day 30, which is what I had been building up to for practicing with those landscapes. And the prompt was rush. I thought about a waterfall and how the water rushes over the side or so, and just kind of splatters as it hits, and then that water kind of rushes down. So that's kind of where I was going with this one. I will say that I found a really cool tutorial that kind of guided me more on how to get a landscape accomplished without it being necessarily illustrated with a pen, versus using the pen for accents. So I really enjoyed doing this one for the practice and for the fact that I was able to pull off the prompt. And here I use the Darnassus art markers and super black fine liners. All right. And then for the very last prompt for Inktober, day 31, Halloween, today, the day that this video is coming out. So just in case I confused you, the day the video is being shot is October 28th. But the day this video is October 29th, I'm sorry, which is massive would have been the prompt for today. But the day that this video is going to come out is going to be day 31 or the 31st of October, which will be Halloween. And the prompt for Halloween is fire. And what better thing to illustrate than a firefly? So here I use the Darnassus art markers and Master's Touch fine liners, which are a water-based dye ink pen, and they come in this wide variety of colors, and I was able to use it to make sure that it didn't really look like there was a line or outline, but still stick to the Inktober rules. And I really enjoyed this one. There you have it, guys. Those are the 31 prompts of Inktober. I am so happy I got a chance to complete them. As I said, although they are not all masterpieces, I really enjoyed the feeling of going, oh my God, I completed this entire challenge. And I actually have one page left in this journal, and then this journal will be complete. So I'm probably going to do something there just for fun at some point, and then I'll be able to put this journal on the shelf and say that it's done. But all of Inktober is done. There you have that, guys. As far as the paper is concerned, as I said earlier, I think it's a pretty robust all-around paper that I handle most mediums without any type of problem. It has enough tooth to it to allow you to layer. I was able to use color pencils on top of my alcohol markers, color pencils on top of the watercolors, color pencils on top of the water-based ink markers, on top of the Jane Davenport dye-based mermaid marker. So I think it's pretty cool, and it's like $4 or $5 a pad, depending on, you can get like a 9x12 pad for about $4 or $5. This size pad may be about $5 or $6, but there's not too much difference in the price for each size as you go up. And the paper is all the same, and I enjoy it. Now, it's not exactly bleach white. It does have a bit of a tone to it. But I like that, especially when we're talking about color pencils. So there you have that. If you have access to a Jerry Autorama, I would definitely suggest it. I'm going to put a link for it, Jerry's, in this paper in the video description. I wouldn't suggest getting it. You know, the prices on Amazon for it fluctuate. Sometimes I feel like it's way too high on Amazon, considering, you know, how much you can get it for on Jerry's website or just walking into a Jerry store. But sometimes you can find it at a lower price. I guess it really just depends on the listing. Thank you guys so much for joining me here today for the flip through of Inktober. I hope you enjoyed it. If you found anything that you liked, saw anything that inspired you, or just enjoyed hanging out as far as the review of the paper and just seeing the video goes, don't forget to give the video a thumbs up. Please share the video. Remember, sharing is caring, and someone else may love to see this flip through or the review of the paper. Go ahead and subscribe if you're new to the channel, or if you're returning and you haven't subscribed. do that. Hit the notification bell so you'll know when new content is coming out. Hit the comment section up. Let me know what you thought of the flip through, what you thought of the drawings. How was your Inktober experience? You know, let me know what's up, guys. Check the video description for all of the relevant links that you will need for everything we saw in the video, as well as most recommended product list, link to the Facebook group where we do all things artsy and crafty, because this is a art and craft channel, and the Patreon and Etsy where you can support the channel if you decide to. Thank you guys so much. See you next time. Happy Halloween. And remember, as I tell you at the end of every single video, just keep painting and crafting.